Ashe. Ashe. Ashe is the word, the source of I and I ancestors. Ashe is the source that holds all things together. Ashe is I source, I shield and I protector. Ashe is I source, I guide and I provider. Ashe is I source, and that is why I am not black. Ashe is I shield. Ashe is I source, and that is why I cannot be lack. Ashe is I source, I light, and I deliverer. Ashe is I source, I healer, and I teacher. Ashe is I source, I leader, and I spiritual fire. Ashe is I source, I strength. Each day I be more and more. Ashe is I source, I spiritual comforter. Each day I be more stronger. Ashe is I source, I sustainer. Each day my life is filled with more pleasure. Ashe walk with I daily to much green and greener pastures. Ashe walk with I beside some very cold and deadly waters. Ashe walk I through the valley of blackness and under the shadow of blackness. And so I fear no evil or what the devils may try to do. For it's Ashe, I say. Ashe, 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 I say to you all, my highly enriched melanin, my highly enriched carbon skin brothers and sisters, my fellow Africans, Mother Earth's original, Mother Earth's natural, native, and organic humans the world over. And welcome back one and all to this another perspective with I, the Mystic Philosopher. It is high time for reason and for reasoning. As it is my custom to do, please let me take this opportunity right here and now and say goodwill to all those of you that have given and all those of you that may give and all those of you that will give of your very limited resources. What that is your very precious time to join us, to join in, and to watch and listen to this video broadcast and podcast. Goodwill to all those of you that take time out to subscribe to my YouTube channel called The Right Number, and to my blog post at themysticp.com. And goodwill to all those of you that may or that will take time out to donate and to support what I'm doing. And especially goodwill to all those of you that have and all those of you that may and that will purchase my music and messages in song, will support me having more music and messages in songs. Goodwill to all those of you that may or that will take time out to participate in the discussions, to critique and to write commentaries. Goodwill to all those of you that may or that will intelligently, informatively, and respectfully rebut with the honest intent of highlighting or correcting any and all possible statements or information that you might perceive to be erroneous or misleading, or that you can prove or that you may prove to be incorrect and misleading. And goodwill to all those of you that will share your own perspectives on any of the topics that are covered in this or any series of lecture presentations by I, the Mystic Philosopher. Welcome. Thank you. And goodwill to you all. The topic of this series this series of presentation is the art of living well, another perspective and interpretation of Desiderata. And this is part 4, part 4a. Now, if you haven't yet listened to part 1 through to part 4, I strongly suggest that you please do so before you watch this part 4a or any other part in the series of my presentation that you may come across. Please watch part 1. Please watch them in order to get the what I intend to say and what I'm doing. Now, so 5 main points that I covered in the previous lecture, or if you prefer, that I've covered in part 4. 5 main points. And I'd just like to do a quick recap, because I ended part 4, as you may notice, is that I was bringing forth some great points, and it was getting a little bit long. I realized that I've exceeded an hour and was just about halfway through. So I know a lot of people don't have the ability to concentrate that long, and I was led to just end it there and do a part 4a. So this is like a continuation of part 4. So this is like part 4a. So 5 main points that I covered in part 4 are: 1, I told you and explained to you the fact that the children that we give birth to and sometimes are forced by the system to raise as if they are ours are not really ours. I spent some time and I explained that they are not ours. Fact number 2, I answered the question that asks why we should still care for them or give a damn about them, or how they may turn out and what they may turn out to be, even though we now know and understand of a fact that they don't belong to us. They're not really our children. This again, as I asked, if you watch part 1 through to part 4, you will get the whole gist of everything. Number 3, I told you that the Adamic race, and races of humankind are our real and formidable enemies. I told you that they are our real foes. And I also told you in this series and other series prior, and explain in detail to you, and will still emphasize it, that they, the Adamic race and races, that they were created by their God to subdue us, to subjugate us, and to exterminate us Us who? We, the melaninated people from off the face of this, our planet and Mother Earth. That's the whole purpose of the Adamic race. So when I hear people claiming about the Adamic race and the Adamic God, when I hear my people, I really understand the grave and great ignorance that they are functioning from, claiming to be of Adam. But then again, that's another subject. But the whole purpose of the Adamic race is to subjugate us, to subdue us, and eventually they were created to exterminate us. And if we can see what's happening right now with the Adamic race and races, and I explain who the Adamic race is, all the descendants of the creature, the humankind, or the kind of human called Adam. That's their function. And if at all you had watched or listened to any or all of my previous lectures, you would have no doubt heard me talk about Sir Charles Darwin's prophecy, of which I also did a whole lecture or a whole video titled The Civilized Races of Mankind, a Charles Darwin's End Time Prophecy Revealed. In fact, it's actually two videos, part 1 and part 2. You can again find it here on my channel. Yes, Sir Charles Darwin's prophecy, the End Time Prophecy. If you just, again, right here, if you happen to be on my channel and YouTube channel, just search in the videos and look for The Civilized Races of Mankind and End Time The Civilized Races of Mankind, a Charles Darwin's End Time Prophecy Revealed. And it's part 1 and part 2. Please watch that. I've yet to see anyone else talking about this prophecy, Charles Darwin's prophecy. I explain it in as greater details as possible. And just to remind you of what that prophecy is, Charles Darwin's prophecy is, and I'll quote, at some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace throughout the whole, or rather replace throughout the world the savage races. Again, let me repeat that. At some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man, or more correctly, mankind, will almost certainly exterminate and replace throughout the world the savage races. Unquote. That's the Charles Darwin's prophecy. And as I said, if you really want to understand this more, or to prove me, to prove the contrary, please watch the two lectures I suggest before, part 1 and part 2. And please, openly, expose my ignorance in this. I challenge you. 4, I highlighted the fact that from my perspective, eventually the majority of us melanin people, aka Africans, will be exterminated by our enemies. And that only a few of us will survive their continuous onslaught. The majority of us will be exterminated by them. Our enemies, the Adamic race and races. I explain who they are again, I said. And that it is, I highlighted this fact, and that it will be the remnant, a very small remnant, I might add, aka the survivors from among us that will replenish or that will repopulate the earth with our people. Yes. So they are fulfilling their job and their prophecy, what they were created to do. And they will take out the majority of us. And that's a whole other subject again. I wish someone could, challenge me on this, or not even necessarily challenge, but give an argument to the contrary. A very intelligent argument to the contrary, based on fact, not proven fact. Not just even truth or one's belief, or some biblical, some Bible, and religious doctrine stuff. No. And I also explain how that will be done. I explain how it will be done by pointing out the fact that we possess the key to everlasting life, and that is one of the reasons why they try to exterminate us. They have beginning and end. We don't. But anyhow, according to some of the evil system, own scientists and biologists, of which Charles Darwin was one, and one of their main scientists and biologists, but according to the systems, evil systems own scientists and biologists, and for your information, some of whom, if not all of whom, are our enemies, or at the very least, they are from our enemies' race and races, or they are trained by our enemies' race and races. And I quote, the average male produces roughly 525 billion sperm cells over a lifetime, and shed at least 1 billion of them per month. A healthy adult male can release between 40 million and 1.2 billion sperm cells in a single ejaculation, unquote. And according to the said evil system's own scientists and biologists, and I quote, at birth, there are approximately 1 million eggs. And by the time of puberty, only about 300,000 remain. Of these, only 300 to 400 will be ovulated during a woman's reproductive lifetime. Fertility can drop as a woman ages due to decreased number and quality of the remaining eggs, unquote. So these are the system scientists' facts. Number 5, I ended part 4, the previous lecture, by highlighting the fact that I am more than proud to tell you that we, the Earth's original, we the Earth's pre-Adamic and organic humans, we the Earth's organic humans, commonly known as Africans, are not average. That we, the Earth's organic and highly melaninated or highly carbon human, or carbon skin humans, aka African men and African women, we are not the average. In no sense of the word average are we average. The devils know that. Our enemies know that. But we are not average. I pointed out the fact that the evidence will show, and that the evidence has shown, that almost everything, if not everything, about our enemies, aka the Adamic race and races, is average. When measuring and comparing among themselves, they are considered either above and below average. And that now you know one more reason. Now you understand this, that we are not average, they are the average one. Now you know just one more reason why our enemies hate and despise us. with the passion and venom the way they do. And in particular, the way they hate and despise us, African men, melanated men. These devils, they hate us with a passion because they know that we are not average. We see, in all sense of the word, are we average. And the reason, now we know the reason why they are so hell-bent on annihilating us, and by any means that they can and have at their disposal, they are annihilating us. They're trying to exterminate us. It is because they know that we possess the natural seeds of life, that they are also, and that is why they are also afraid of us. We are not average. We were, we are, and we shall forever be. They are the Johnny come lately, who, like the chaff in the wind, will soon be gone. It's okay. Be still and know, my people. So we are not average. If we were average, when the force and forces of evil, when they conspire against us and confront us, con mean deceivingly, front us, they wouldn't have to come with all these weapons and these guns and their dogs and unleash their evil venom and their evil manifestation, their evil, whatever they are, on us. You will see all 3, 4, 5 of them sitting on a little kid. They're not average. They are average, not we. And they know it. They hate us with a passion because of that. Because they also know that we are the natural one. And they are the unnatural one. And they tell us they are the artificial one. But some of us don't understand that. Anyhow, let me continue. In fact, we are not even in the set of things, aka humankind. We are not even in the set of things, also known as humankind, that are used to calculate and arrive at an average. We are not even in that. We know, and the evidence also show and prove, that we are natural humans. And they are the humankind, a kind of human, aka, the humankind, humankind, two words, human and kind of human. It is they, our enemies, the humankind, from the Adamic race and races, namely the Caucasoid. Let me identify them for you now. The Caucasoid, the Asians, the Arabs, etc. that are average. And here again is just one more reason why we are so hated and despised by them. Yes. That is why we are so hated and despised by them, and that's why they have to call themselves white, which means superior, and name us black, which means inferior, and talk about white supremacists, that they are supremacists, and that we are inferior to them. Yes, that's why they have to try to, that's why they're so deceptive, trying to present themselves for something which they are not. Yes, it's all there. It's evident, and I just identify who they are, and that is why they abused, mistreated. Not only do they despise us, and not only are we despised by them, but that is also the reason why they abuse, mistreat, and are abusing, mistreated. They have brutalized. That is the reason why they have jailed, they have imprisoned, enslaved, killed, murdered, and that is why we are being exterminated. You name it, by them. They know. They can't help themselves. They can never be us. They are not us. Their own manifestation, people, just wake up. Don't try to be like your enemy. Just be yourself. Just understand who and what you are and who and what we are. They tell us that they are not us and we are not them. They can't help you to tell you the truth. But as the saying goes, you can't see the forest because the trees are in the way. They tell you that they are white and we are black, which is a curse they're trying to put on us, or they have placed on us. But because our mind is so in that state of darkness, most of us can't see it. But I've dealt with that elsewhere. They have to try to project themselves as the light and we are the darkness. So light and darkness is not the same thing, people. White and black is not the same. Even if you were to take them at their word. For you to think that you are the same with them. No, you're not. So somebody's lying. And we know as the same book, in their same Adamic book, it tells you that the devil is a liar. And we also are told that lying and thief, a liar and thief are hands in gloves. They both walk and live together. So a liar is a thief. And the thief and the liar comes only to deceive and destroy. And that's why they are destroying us. Anyway, let me not stray from my prepared notes, but I just want you to think on these things. So they use every method and every means necessary they are trying to do to exterminate us. They know of a fact that we are not average in no sense of the word, and that is why they are so literally afraid and paranoid of us. You see it? Come on, people. Now let me have to repeat some of the things they are seeing on TV. I mean, because they know of a fact that we are not average like them. And they are the humankind, aka the kind of human. They know of a fact that they are not of our Mother Earth, like us, aka Africans, the natural native earthly human. They know of a fact that they are not the highly enriched carbon/melanin human. They know of a fact that they are creatures. They were created. When I use the word creatures, some people will take offense, but the truth is an offense, but not a sin or not a shame. A creature is something that is created, that is made from something that is and forever be. So they were created. They tell in the Holy Book that God created them, Adam, and from Adam came his races. We were not. We are before them. We are natures. They are creatures. But I've covered that elsewhere also. Let me again try not to stray. That's why I prepare my notes, because I tend to get very passionate about these truths and hope to invoke the same level of passion in you, my people, to understand that we are not what they say we are. They try to put us down in every way. You see how that demon slaughter our brother recently. You see what is in these people? Just look at the video. Don't fool your friggin' self. The same one that is sleeping with you will kill you. The same one that you think is your friend or you think is your buddy will screw you over. And why? Because they are trying to preserve themselves. Remember that. Remember your so-called buddy, your wife, your husband, your partner, your co-worker, who you say so nice to you, and you go fishing and trying to adapt with them and live amongst them. They seem, you know what, will screw you because they can't help themselves. Because it's programmed in their DNA to exterminate us. They will lie on you. They will set you up. Every one of them, there's bar none. Right? So just be circumspect around them. Yes, anyhow, let me not stray. Yes, so because they know of a fact that they are not of Mother Earth like us Africans, aka the natural humans, the highly enriched melanin and melaninated humans. They know of a fact that they are creatures that were and that are created by their Creator and God, as written in their history and holy book. And thus they are the unnatural ones. Yep. the artificial ones. Now, so let me now revisit. Those are the things that we covered in part 4. So let me now revisit Dr. Dorothy Nault, her poem, which is titled Children Learn What They Live. And in order for me to highlight my point. First, what is meant by children live what they learn? Or rather, children learn what they live. I am well aware that, as simple as it may sound, I have personally experienced a number of people having problem with this concept or with this idea. Children learn what they live. They are more comfortable saying and interpreting children live what they learn. So please, let me break it down for you. First, to learn by meaning and definition is to gain or to acquire knowledge of something or skill in something by study, experience, or by being taught. So if or when we say that we learn something, or if or when we say that we are in the process of learning something, we are actually saying that we have gained knowledge of something, or that we are gaining or acquiring knowledge or a skill in something, either by study, through practical experience, or by being taught. In fact, my late mother, she used to say that life is a learning experience. And I am sure that most of you, my listeners and watchers, will agree that this thing called life is really and truly a learning experience. And to our children, life is a learning experience as well. And I remember again, when I say our children, I explained that clearly in the last prior presentation. They are not really ours. Just like when you say our home, our house, our. We really own nothing. You know, the system, the oppressors, the invaders, they are the one who really and truly, in the sense of the word, in all practicality, own everything. And own us as slaves too. So please understand, when I use, again, let me explain, when I use the word our, I understand, and I would like you to understand that they are not ours. And the things that we claim we possess are not ours. Anyway, let me get back to this. So children, and to our children, life is a learning experience as well. And their home and their environment is their first and real school, or their first and real place of learning. And we, their parents, which is more correctly, we, their legal guardian or their legal custodian, are their first and real teachers. Our children are constantly learning and acquiring knowledge and information. Our children are constantly being taught. Children are constantly learning. The most impressive and long-lasting learning that our children gain in their lives is the knowledge they have acquired from their experience while living with us, and by being around us, by listening to us, and by observing us, their parents or their legal guardian. Remember that it is universally agreed upon and accepted that we humans are the product of our environment. And also the children are the product of their environment. However, unlike a child, we adults can or may be able to change our environment and potentially change our impact on what we produce, either for good or for the opposite, evil. But I will have much more to say on that point at another time. Again, I quote from the poem, Dr. Nault's poem. If children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. Unquote. Now, criticism by meaning and definition is the act of finding fault or faults in someone or something. And not just to find fault or faults, but it is to find it or them in a disapproving way, in a put down way. In other words, the faults we find may be true, but it is our intent in looking for it, and it is how we reveal it or talk about it that makes it constructive or destructive. Thus we have the phrase constructive criticism and destructive criticism. Now, how many of us that are parents and adults or legal guardians today that can honestly say that as children growing up, we were raised and brought up with and by our parents in a home wherein there was no criticism? How many of us today that can honestly say that we did not experience criticism? And in particular, that which would be described as destructive criticism and harmful criticism, I might add, and from our own parents when we were children. How many of us can honestly say that? How many of us adults and parents today can truly and honestly say that we do not criticize and that we did not criticize our own children? So now you know the reasons, or at the very least, one reason why we are so quick and hell-bound, or rather hell-bent on criticizing and condemning each other. Remember, children learn what they live. And throughout their entire life, they will continue to live what they have learned. That I might add. Quote again. If children live with praise, they learn appreciation. Unquote. Now, how many of us parents and adults today can honestly say that we had received genuine and noteworthy praise, or that we were genuinely and justifiably praised by our parents or our legal guardian when we were growing up as children? Some of us did not. Most of us, the most that we have received, or the most that we have ever received from our parents, is some solid put down and insults. Sometimes even when we as children try our very best to please them, to please our parents, we were still put down. We were still insulted. We were still made to feel small. Example. If we happen to come second or third in our class instead of getting praise and encouragement to do better the next time around, we were reprimanded and sometimes punished severely for not coming first or not coming in first. And worst of all, if we failed. Some of us were taught by our parents that it is God alone that must and should be praised. So now you know why. Sorry. So now you know why we have so little or no appreciation for each other and for life in general. It is because as children we did not receive praise or lived with praise, not even for our effort at trying to please our parents and others that were close to us. Quote, if children live with hostility, they learn to fight, unquote. And again, how many of us parents and adults that can honestly say that we did not live with or experience hostility in our homes by our parents, by our own parents? Some of us has experienced seeing our parents fight like some untamed animals. Some of us have seen and heard our parents cursing each other and using some of the most profane and derogatory words to describe each other. Some of us have even seen our parents physically hurting and abusing each other, or even worse. Some of us, all that we grew up knowing in our household was hostility. All we knew was hostile argument, a hostile and a dysfunctional house. So now you know why we are so hostile towards one another and so aggressive with each other. And now you know why we love to fight and kill each other, and also why our children today are so hostile and aggressive towards each other and even towards society. Again, remember, children children learn what they live. Quote, if children live with kindness and consideration, they learn respect, unquote. Again, how many of us parents and adults today can honestly say that we felt kindness and consideration from our parents, or that we received and experienced the abundance of kindness and consideration from our parents when we were children? Some of us adults to this day don't even know or don't even have a clue as to what that truly means, or what is truly meant by kindness and consideration, simply because we were brought up and raised by some of the meanest and most inconsiderate parents. Now, some parents were so mean and inconsiderate that they were mean and inconsiderate to themselves. So now we know why we adults disrespect and easily disrespect each other the way we do. So now you know why our children are so disrespectful to themselves and to adults as well. Quote, if children live with fear, they learn to be apprehensive, unquote. How many of us parents and adults today that can honestly say that we did not fear our parents, or that we did not experience fear by our parents, or that we did not live with fear when we were children? If some of us are honest, we may admit that we could hardly get anything right in the eyes of our parents, and that we were always fearful of their rejection and their disapproval. How many of us that can honestly say that we did not live with some form of fear in our communities and our society when we were children? So now you know why we are so uneasy around each other. Now you know why we are so mistrustful of each other. Now you know why we are always so anxious or fearful that something bad or something unpleasant will happen while we are in the company of each other. And I'm referring to particular to us melanated people. And we know the history, but I'm just bringing up this right now. What got us into this mess? Again, it is because of the Adamic race and races that brought all this dysfunctionality among us. But that have dealt with elsewhere in other presentations. If children, I continue from the poem, if children live with security, quote, if children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and in those about them, unquote. Again, how many of us parents and adults today that can honestly say that we live with and experience security with and by our parents when we were children? From my perspective, very few, if at all any of us. In fact, the evidence will show, and the evidence has shown, that not only were some of us mentally and physically abused by our own parents, but that some of us were sexually abused by them as well. So now you know why we are so lacking in faith in ourselves, both individually and collectively. We don't trust, and we can't even trust ourselves, let alone trust someone else. As the saying goes, we trust no shadow after dark. Quote again, if children live with pity, they learn to feel sorry for themselves, unquote. Again, how many of us parents and adults alike today that can honestly say that we did not live with pity, or that at the very least experience some form of pity from our parents or from other people and our environment while we were children? Some of us may admit that sometimes, consciously or unconsciously, when our parents and others around us were granting and experiencing pity on us, they would even believe and make it sound like it was out of their genuine love and genuine care for us. When they would say things like, poor thing, me feel sorry for you, or I feel sorry for you, Lord have mercy on you, etc. So now you know, or at the very least, now you understand one reason why we like to feel sorry for ourselves and why our children also feel sorry for themselves. Quote, if children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. How many of us parents and adults alike today that can honestly say that when we were children, we were always being encouraged and especially encouraged to do what makes us happy and what brings us happiness? How many of us that can honestly say that we were always encouraged, especially by our parents, to pursue our own dreams, to pursue our own goals and aspirations, and not the dreams, goals, and aspirations that they, our parents, have failed miserably at pursuing themselves when they were children, and thus they are selfishly wanting, or they were selfishly wanting to see their dreams fulfilling in us, their children. For example, some of us as children may have wanted to be a taxi driver, or a bus or a truck driver, to become bus or truck drivers, while our parents wanted us to be teachers, lawyers, and doctors, etc., so-called professionals. Things that they might have dreamt of for themselves, but might not have given the opportunity, or they may have attempted to do themselves and may have failed. And not only did they fail, but they may have failed miserably. They wanted us, their children, to make them look good. And the same is true for us today. We just want our children to live up to our expectation, or our expectations, in order to make us look good and feel proud as if their accomplishment is ours and not theirs, the children, our children. So now you know why some of us have very little or no confidence in ourselves and in our own ability to do what we love, the things we love, or the things we feel like doing. So now you know why some of us have very little or no confidence in to pursue our own life's part and to find our own inner happiness and satisfaction in doing that which we truly love and are desirous of doing. Quote, if children live with ridicule, they learn to feel shy. Unquote. How many of us parents and adults today that can honestly say that we did not live with ridicule? Or that we were not ridiculed by our own parents while we were children? Ridicule, by meaning and definition, is the subjection of someone or something to contemptuous and dismissive language or behavior. Example, mockery. How many of us, parents and adults alike today, that can honestly say that we were not mocked, scoffed at, laughed at, or even jeered as children, even by our own parents? So now you know why some of us are so shy and insecure. Quote, if children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. Unquote. Again, how many of us parents and adults alike today that can honestly say that we lived with approval by our parents or with the approval of our parents while we were children? In other words, how many of us that are adults and parents today that can honestly say that our parents were always affirming that we were good and acceptable children, and that we were always appreciated? In other words, in fact, some of us could hardly do or say anything right in order to please our parents and gain their approval and wholehearted acceptance. So now you know why some of us don't like ourselves individually as human or collectively as a people. My brethren, all these things happen. We have been messed up as a result of the Adamic race and the Adamic God and their invasion and what they have done to us through slavery, through oppression, and what they are doing to us, the division, the way they messed us up. So I'm pointing these things out just to remind you also to remind us, or to remind you, that the state that we are in is not just, we just did not come into that state today. This was a pandemic, as they would say. This was planned for us by the scientists, the evil scientists, the evil devils, the Adamic race and races, to screw us over. So now you know why some of us don't like ourselves individually or collectively as a people. For example, now you know why some of us bleach our skin to look like our oppressors, the Caucasoid and the Mongoloids. For example, now you know why some of us scoffed and looked down on those of us that speak, for example, Jamaican patois, and not our oppressors and slave masters' standard and formal English. Now you know. Now you know why some of us hate Rastas and their locks. You name it. Now you know why some of us, now you know why some of us hate just those of us who try to be ourselves. It is because as children we did not live with approval. We are constantly, and consequently we ended up not liking ourselves. And regretfully, this cycle have continued. Yes, some of us hate even to look in the mirror and see the image of who we are physically. Some of us don't talk about our ancestors, where we are from, the continent where we are from, our people. Some of us don't even talk about our ancestral culture and practices and tradition, or about how we relate to nature. We're glad to get up and dress up. We just like to dress like the oppressor, look like the oppressor, speak like the oppressor, and practice everything that the oppressor, because they did that to us anyhow. So I'm not blaming us all 100%. I say us because I'm a victim myself. We're all victim of force and forces. Victim of the system. Yes. You see a guy today, his style is, we dress like the oppressor, look like the oppressor, want to do everything like the oppressor, like our enemy. Yep, because we were not taught. In fact, the oppressors took away that from our ancestors. That they shouldn't teach their children that they are handsome, they are wonderful, they are beautiful, that they should be proud of themselves, but that they should look like the oppressor's kid and try to be like the oppressor. But that's another subject. I've dealt with that elsewhere, but I have no problem going over these things again. Quote, if children live with jealousy, they learn to feel envy, unquote. How many of us can honestly say that we had never seen or experienced our parents and other adults close to us and around us participating and exhibiting emotions of jealousy? And how many of us that can honestly say that we have never found ourselves in situations when we were children that caused us to be jealous, or to be jealous of something or of someone else? For example, when we see and experience our parents and others close to us show favoritism towards our other siblings or towards other children, sometimes because your brother or your sister or sister of another, because your brother or sister or another child is lighter skin than you, brighter than you, more competitive than you are, given more toys than you are. So we were put in this position to be jealous, treated with more love and respect than you are. You name it. So now you know. And I could get into all of this again and link it right to what these devils, the Adamic race, that enslaved us and messed us up and caused all these things. But that's for another discussion. I'm just highlighting these points here and briefly commenting on them. So now you know what is bad mind and how it came about. So now you know why some of us are so bad-minded, aka envious of each other today. And the same is true of our children, because by now you know that they learn and adapt to everything from us. Quote, if children live with sharing, they learn generosity, unquote. So now we know why some of us are so mean, so petty, so small, so stingy, so selfish, so greedy, you name it. It is simply because that was what the environment in which we were raised. Those were the lessons that we consciously and unconsciously learned from our parents. Some of us parents were mean, petty, selfish, stingy, greedy, and small. Consequently, we were never taught, neither in theory or in principle, whereby we saw our parents being generous to our neighbors' children, to our friends, by volunteering of their time in doing community service, or by practical example of them teaching us how to be kind and how to share with others, etc. Now you know. Now, this is the end of part 4a of this, my series of presentations titled The Art of Living Well, Another Perspective and Interpretation of Desiderata. And I thank you for listening thus far. And I ask that you please join me in part 5 for the continuation and much more detailed expression on this topic, the art of living well, another perspective and interpretation of Desiderata. I am the Mystic Philosopher. It's high time for reason and for reasoning. Ashe, 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 I say.